Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, for the hearing, and thank you to our witnesses for being here today and for the work that you do. In New Hampshire, I hear from families and small businesses alike about the burden of rising housing costs and what that has done to their ability to live and work in the state, also what it's done their ability to recruit people to come work in the state, among other things. So I'm developing a package of housing legislation that I plan to introduce soon to help bring down these costs. My bill would incentivize investments in state affordable housing trust funds. Ms. Bell, can you just please speak about what these trust funds are and why they are so important?
Yes, thank you for that, Senator. And just want to acknowledge and uplift your leadership in this. So Oregon is one of 39 states that has a state housing trust fund. These funds typically, though not always, have a designated revenue source and can be particularly helpful in providing additional housing resources for state needs. In the state of Oregon, our trust fund is funded by a state general fund and lottery funds. And certainly, as you continue to pursue and work on this bill, we are eager to work with you in this area.
Well, I appreciate that very much. My bill would also support the construction of new workforce housing, creating a new competitive grant program at HUD. Mr. Conter, can you expand about how building more housing will help lower costs for home buyers and how federal support can help build more houses?
Absolutely. The crux of the problem is very simple. We're just not building enough houses. The more houses we build, the less pressure we have on rising costs because we are supplying the market.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much. And I'd also note that the more housing we have and the more people who are housed, the more other issues that we all work on together we can address. Mr. Roberts, I've also previously introduced bipartisan legislation with Senator Blunt, the Middle Class Mortgage Insurance Premium Act, to provide tax cuts for middle-class home buyers who use mortgage insurance. How does mortgage insurance make home ownership more accessible, and how can we continue to cut costs for families?
So private mortgage insurance is very important so that home buyers who don't have 20% down payment funds can get in, and we often see them come in at 5%, even 3% down payments.
Yeah.
That's much more attainable for first-time buyers, and so cutting the cost of that mortgage insurance is very important to making sure they can afford the monthly payments as well.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. To Ms. Bell, one more question. In response to the COVID-19 crisis, Congress provided states with financial support to assist with their response to and recovery from the crisis. While New Hampshire and other states have committed to using a portion of these funds to support housing, it's difficult to pair these funds with another critical federal housing tool, the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit. That's why I co-sponsored the Bipartisan Lifeline Act to ensure that states have the flexibility to utilize both COVID-19 response funds and the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit. Ms. Bell, how can increased flexibility for states to use these funds support housing efforts all across the country?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Senator. So about 31 states are devoting over $9 billion in coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds towards affordable housing activities. And of course, this total does not include what local jurisdictions may also invest in affordable housing activities. And although the state of Oregon is using these funds for other affordable housing activities, about 24 states have indicated that they intend to use at least a portion of these resources as gap fillers, so filling financing gaps, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But it has not come without difficulty, certainly. And so within the American Rescue Plan Act statute, there is unintentionally, there is language in there that makes it difficult to use these funds for long-term loans, which is exactly what you need for affordable housing. This is where the Lifeline Act comes in. It would essentially fix the problem by allowing state and local governments to utilize these resources for long-term loans, which of course supports what we're talking about today, financing more affordable housing.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I look forward to working with all of you as we continue to try to combat this challenge.
Thank you, Senator.